There was another vehicle in front of us on the same road coming from the opposite direction.
Up the hill towards us. It was a black SUV.
I've noticed a male and a female in the car.
Or a car length in front of me, a car length and a half in front of me.
And at any point in time, did you see anybody exit from that vehicle at any point?
No.
You never saw anyone around the SUV, correct?
Correct. I'd say moved up maybe another car length in front of us.
Yes, I definitely looked out a third time.
He was not at the house when John was there.
It had now proceeded further up the road, past the flagpole, past the utility box, past the fire hydrant.
Fair to say that you would have seen a 6-foot man walking away from that car going towards the house?
Correct.
Okay. You were in a vantage point where you would have seen that had that occurred, correct?
Correct.
And you didn't see that?
I did not.
Okay.
There's bushes and trees that separate the Albert's residence to the next residence. So it was actually past the Albert's residence and a little further up.
Do you know anybody by the name of Karen?
Yes. I knew that she dated Mr. O'Keefe. A nice guy, a good guy.
I drove him home.
I knew that my parents were friendly with him.
Named Brian Albert and his nephew Colin Albert as potential suspects.
How did you know Colin Albert was in the house?
Who?
How did you know Colin Albert was in the house?
Probably through you. I don't even know Colin Albert.
People are harassing him saying he was at the house when it's not true.
You're aware that you see by Brian Colin Albert.
Harassment, what specifically type of harassment?
They calling us murderers, harassing us.
Likely brought down to the basement.
Phone call.
Do dead bodies often come around there?
Constant phone calls.
Seriously, what do you want with me?
I just want to know one thing.
Is a fucking killer.
I mean, we couldn't leave the house without people taking pictures of us, and it's very terrible.
They're cop killers, ladies and gentlemen. That's a cop killer right there. You're stupid cunt daughters, that's what they fucking are. Hanging out with this fucking worthless piece of shit, Colin fucking Albert.
And that's Colin Albert.
But I didn't know the other guy. I don't even know. No.
Awful messages.
Showing up to our doorsteps, our sports games.
Hey, Jen, how you doing? Fancy seeing you here.
Sorry, do you have a child on the team?
Do you?
I do.
No, I'm at a public event, so I can do whatever I want. So anyway.
People showing up at our house.
You guys are being taken for...
That's terrible.
We're being taken for a food. Tell us how.
People emailing my school. Just like a lot of harassment. Can I have a moment, please?
Sure. Killed a cop. They killed a police officer, John O'Keefe.
We're done with
She Googled how long to die in cold.
How long a period of time has that persisted for?
A very long time.
Thank you.
All right, Miss McCabe, you're on.
Hey, how's it going?
Hi. Can you hear me?
Yep, I can hear you.
Okay. I don't know what happened on my other computer.
I thought that I have a weird setup tonight, so I'm not in my usual spot. So I was worried that my volume wasn't working, so I'm glad it was yours. I was like, oh no, which one?
It's always me. No, I don't know what it is with my computer, but oh my God, even watching your intro, it makes my blood boil.
I know. It's ridiculous. And like, I was especially heated when they kind of ambushed them with the Life 360 information, because I know that she was telling the truth. Absolutely, I can tell that she was so shocked by like, what are you talking about?
Right.
And so I did some digging, and I don't know. Hopefully, someone is watching that can communicate with the prosecution, because and I would think that when Nick Garino, I think it's Trooper Garino, is going to probably testify, maybe he'll know this, but maybe not. So hopefully someone can.
Yeah, I feel like she was really caught off guard by that and confused. And I was a little bit too. You know, I don't use that app particularly with my kids. So I don't know. I mean, is it always right? What information was he using to try to trip her up? Was it like the next day? Like, I had seen a couple of different things on that.
So let me share real quick. Okay. So I was thinking, like, I don't know the app, but I know apps in general. So he was saying like Canton High School, right? So Canton High School is like right here. It's like this blob.
Okay.
And so I found some information about, where the hell is it? So I was like looking at this thread. And so this thread was kind of telling me Life 360. And I was like going through the general discussion board, just kind of like, what is going on? And a lot of people have the same issue. And it's basically at night, you're, once you kind of stop using your phone, that's when all the updates and stuff happens. So your Wi-Fi turns off when your phone's kind of dim, you know, but it can turn on to like update certain apps and stuff. And when it turns on, it shows it traveling to the tower. And so, and like, it will just show you at the tower and then back. That's why she was like, I can't get to the Canton High School in 2 minutes. Like I'm 8 minutes away or something. And so I was looking at where the high school is. And then I was like, I wonder if there's like a tower over there. So I was looking at cell tower maps in Canton. And the thing is, so there's 98 cell towers in Canton. So a big thing about that is that whatever location data they have is going to be very accurate. So like tower data, so covering like the Idaho case, there's not a lot of towers there. It's a rural area. So, you know, the distance can be very large, but this is an urban area with a shit ton of cell towers. So GPS location data is going to be extremely accurate. And so we know they have her on the tower mapping data to show her going back towards Fairview. So I'm like, and it's hard to see on this map, like what's what, but I like zoomed in and guess what? This blob right here is Canton High School. And this is a tower.
Isn't that interesting?
I don't know where they live, but I know it's like somewhere up here.
Right, so because didn't she say it was about 10 minutes away? Or
yeah, but there's no other, I mean, some of these maybe over there is closer, but like you can connect to any tower. But if they're like up here, I don't know if this is the same tower or whatever, but this could be the closest tower for most people that are up in this area. So hopefully they know that. I feel like Lally should have been ready with that information.
Right. I agree. That
was kind of like, and she had never looked at it, which seems odd to me. Like you knew that she was going to talk about the Life 360.
Right.
So why did she not have an opportunity to like review that report before he's just like blindsiding her with these like out of nowhere? That was just, I just thought that was ridiculous.
It was. And I think a big part of it is that they weren't really prepped that much because they're telling the truth. So if you don't need to be prepped to know every single answer to every single question if you know that your clients are honest. So I feel like because they did a lack of prep, a lot of them are getting caught off guard. And then those are the things that the, like idiots are grabbing onto, like these little stupid things that they're like, oh my goodness. So this shows it, she got caught lying. And basically they're saying that every single person is lying.
I know.
If that's the case, then are they going to have perjury charges? Like, come on, if you're not remembering something exactly the way that it was, that isn't lying, and if you're catching people off guard and they don't know what to say, that also isn't lying. They're not purposely telling something that's a lie, right? They're just like, oh, okay, like kind of caught off guard all the time. So, but that's what they're using. I mean, that's really all they have to keep the fuel to the fire is like, oh, this one lied today and this one lied today. And these are like young kids. Like I look at them and I'm like, oh my gosh, they're only a few years older than my oldest son. And I can't imagine having to get up on the stand and have Alan Jackson being so nasty and so aggressive right from the jump. He doesn't even try to just take it easy. It's like,
and I mean, they know that their client's guilty. So like, that's what makes it even more obnoxious and more dirty.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
David United came out with that Scanlon, saying Scanlon came to him. And then we know that that's not what happened.
Not at all.
He did go to like be a PI to find out what happened, but they presented the Colin Albert and Brian Albert thing to him. And he was like, no. And they tried to get money because they probably wanted him to be the whistleblower, right?
Yeah.
And try to pay him off. Because I think that's what's been happening with this whole case.
Absolutely.
You give someone $1,200 and they'll sell their soul. Like it's ridiculous.
It is. It's crazy. And that's the thing that I'm noticing the most is people. I mean, I guess I've been lucky in life to never experience people selling their soul. Like that's what people are doing. How do you come back from that? Like, do they not believe in karma? Like, you can't just do that. But they are. I mean,
you see it in like the political world. Like,
yeah.
In the political world, most of them are very educated, but they will say the dumbest things just because they know it appeals to certain people.
So true.
Like, I don't know. I feel like it's kind of like that, and it's just
it is
gross though. I just want like genuine people. Like those are the people that should be leading conversations, not these people that are appealing to like the worst traits in humanity. You know what I mean?
Disgusting. And you know what's interesting for you and I, we've been looking at this case for a long time, and this week alone, I'm noticing all of these random, true crime YouTubers, whatever. They're all jumping on this conspiracy bandwagon, and they're like, "Ooh, this is my chance," And it's so disgusting because they don't know anything about the case. They just want the views, the clicks, and everything. And they're just like, "Oh, I'll just say what this one said," because they're all saying the same exact thing. They're all piggybacking off basically the original Turtle Boy story. And it's so gross. Like, oh, I can't. Even Nick on Court TV, like he was one of the Nick Rocco, like he was like, he's basically reading the blog from April still, like, oh, and there's dog bites and there's it's like so many things that have been debunked, and we are way past that. He's still holding on to that because he just wants to be that person, like Turtle Boy. Turtle Boy knows that she's guilty. Her lawyers know that she's guilty.
Right. I mean, I think that, so the problem is, and I think what is going to happen is there was a text, or someone told someone of a text of that Karen told Yannetti that she hit him, but she didn't think she hit him that hard.
Right.
That's not admissible in
I know.
However, it is admissible if they're going to try to sue Turtle Boy or other people for slander that knew about that message, because it could be used in their trial, because Yannetti is not their lawyer. That's not their attorney.
Right. Oh, that makes sense.
You better watch out.
That makes a lot of sense, because they're thinking they're safe. Like, oh, it can't be brought into this trial. But there's also information, and maybe that won't be brought into this trial either, of Turtle Boy acknowledging that he knows that she's guilty. But I think that might also be saved for the grand jury that's looking into the conspiracy charges for him and Karen, right? I think it'll all be able to come in then.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Remember the one for the, whatever they're, basically everything that they're doing when they got their phones and they were kind of realizing that these two are conspiring to go after witnesses.
Yeah, I'm wondering how far they'll take it.
I know.
Like they don't want to muddy the waters too much.
I don't think they'll do it during this trial, so whatever the outcome may be, I don't know. If she goes to jail, then I guess there's no point of going for her.
I mean, just stack the charges on there. And it's like, what about her father? Because I mean, like when David Yannetti, there's a clip of him, and like, I don't know how he thinks he's going to get out of it. He's in the courtroom saying in the Ford Edge, we know that Colin Albert has a Ford Edge, and the whole audience starts clapping. And Karen Reed's father is sitting right behind him clapping. And like, that just like disgusted me, because I know that he knows. He picked her up that morning. He knew her car was smashed up. I know she told him what she did. I know that he helped her cover it up. And he's clapping that an innocent kid is getting implicated.
And not only that, he's getting on the mic outside like Rita, like, my daughter is factually innocent. And I'm like, you are the most disgusting. Like, it's just so many levels of like, I can't believe this. Like time after time after time. It's parents covering for her, and her brother covering for her. And it's Turtle Boy lying. I mean, there's just so many levels of deceit. And on top of that, none of that would really piss me off that much if they weren't putting all of these innocent people through a living hell. Watching Allison McCabe and Colin like kind of break down on the stand. Like Allie was like, she's like, this has been going on for so long. Like I cried, I was like, oh my God, this poor girl, like she's finally able to let it out,
I know, I can't imagine, like, because it's like it's a thing that you really can't. So certain like enemies you can fight, right? Because it's like a one-on-one, you can get away. But something like this that's so like massive and there's so many people involved, it's like you cannot escape it. And I think she goes to school far away.
I think so too. I don't know which school she's in though.
I think it was, I don't want to say it, but I think it was somewhere.
just in case.
Yeah, I think it's somewhere in New York, and so at least she kind of gets away from it a little bit. But
Yeah.
because like a lot of them like grew up going to Bridgewater State, and
Right.
it's just it's so sketchy. Like they're gonna wake up every morning and see all. And I'm in the area right now, so I haven't been to Canton at all, but I do want to see because a lot of people have told me that it's everywhere, like the Free Karen Reid stuff.
Oh wow.
Like, that is so disturbing that these kids who are going to school in that town have to like look at that stuff and think, oh, half the town thinks my parents are murderers.
Yeah.
Half
I mean,
the town thinks my brother killed somebody. Like it's just so sick.
it is. And it mentally, and psychologically, I can't imagine how much it's affected them. And at one point, Colin said that he doesn't have social media. And I see all the idiots like, well, why doesn't he have social media? I wonder why. Why did he get off of all social media? Does he want to get beaten down all day, every day, and ripped apart? It's better just to not look at it, We've all had points. Some of the people involved in the case where I'm like, you know what? I've said it to a few people, just take a few days and don't look at Twitter and don't look at TikTok and don't look at messages and don't look at comments, because if you shut it all off, it really doesn't exist. But when you open it up, you're like, oh my God, everybody hates me. Everybody says this, everybody says that. So for a kid, or a young adult to experience that, it's got to be way, way too much.
Yeah.
It's to handle mentally,
so Like I know it's toxic. And like even in the beginning when I believed, and even when I was like kind of jumping on that, I felt like there was something wrong with it. You know what I mean? Like I didn't feel okay about it. Like I was kind of like, I believed it, but at the same time, I don't know, I felt something was like not right. And then it
felt gross, like in a way. I was like, what am I doing? like
I'm gonna gang up on
I
mean, I don't know. Like it was all speculation.
Yeah.
And it was like once I read through everything, I was like, there's no way. There's no way. So this meant Aiden's putting out $100 if anyone can find a person.
Yeah. So I saw that. And
I just don't believe like Colin would not be on the stand. The stuff that's come out about him is there's people that went to Turtle Boy that don't like Colin. Like that's where they got this stuff in the first place.
I see.
And so like this is the worst that they could find is him
Right.
talking shit to some kids 1 or 2 nights.
Yeah, and when he was like either a sophomore or a senior in high school. And the best part is what the half of the Turtle Clan doesn't realize is the FBI has been able to look into every possibility of anything. And even they have not been able to find him getting in a fist fight, which to me is rare for a teenage boy because most teenage boys do get in a fight. So the fact that he hasn't and they haven't been able to find anybody to come forward to say that they have is very telling. So now he wants to pay somebody now. I mean, come on. Like, get with the game.
Thanks, James Clay. I know
yes,
they go to hell and prison. I mean, they're demons. Like
they really are.
They don't have any moral value whatsoever.
Nope. Did you see? I think it was yesterday. The Daily Mail caught her in like one of her rage moments, where she was like looking at Alan Jackson and he was all blotchy and she's like making this face that you've never seen, like a monster. And then she kind of like catches the camera. It's bad. Like it's like one of the worst looks that she's had in court because she can't keep it in for much longer. Like it's gonna come out and it's starting to happen as the trial proceeds and doesn't go the way she wants.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, I just think it's a shame. Like even though I have been looking at it with a critical eye, I still thought, the propaganda is just so strong that I still thought like Colin's probably a punk. Like he probably does get in fights.
Yeah.
And, like, but then when I saw him, I'm like, he's literally saying he's never been in a fight. Like he's not going to be saying that on the stand because that person that he got in a fight with is definitely going to come forward. So like, I'm just like, oh my God. Like,
yeah, he's not the kid that they described to any of us.
They just totally wrecked this kid. And like, because I mean, it sucks because if he has never been in a fight and they're painting him out to be that character, a lot of people are going to want to fight him for no reason.
Right.
And it's like, oh, it's sad. And like his
I don't know if he's back at school yet or what. I know that he ended up at some point staying home and maybe taking classes at home. But it's a shame because I know that he played football and stuff like that. And I think he was pretty good at it. So to have to give all of that up at like 19, 18, just to get away from all this is just sick, you know, it really is. So I just hope all these people I'm pretty sure they are, they're going to sue the crap out of these people and they deserve it. I mean, what a shit show of crazy.
Nick Rocco is a hairdresser and he won on a scratch ticket or something.
Yes.
They're like, that's Colin's money now.
It is. And you know what's really funny? This is how you could tell somebody's knowledge. Like, yeah, gambling, sometimes you could get lucky, but somebody sent me something about him. And he's like, yeah, the only way to keep winning is to keep playing. And I'm like, oh, yeah, let's have everybody go broke buying scratch-offs. That's very smart, Nick. And he's like, I've just been very lucky. No, it's a once-in-a-lifetime thing that you won on this scratch-off. And don't tell other people to spend all their money on scratch-offs. It's a stupid thing. You're not intelligent if you're gambling away all of your money on scratch-offs, Nick. Sorry.
So if that's true, that he got his football scholarship taken away, I mean, I know that he stopped playing.
Yeah.
So
like, you know, if you loved it, what a shame just to have to stop playing because of this.
Well, because people are probably showing up at the stadium and it's in school, and I can't even imagine. Like, that's just.
Imagine showing up, like, even if you're somebody that loves Turtle Boy, why I don't know, but you're gonna go out of your way to show up at kids' games and harass them just to what? Get credit? Like, what does that do for you as an adult? Showing up at these games, harassing them.
I was actually horrified about them even before when they had it. What is it called? Voir dire. Even when they put it in the voir dire, I did not think that the knuckles were going to come in. I did not think that those Snapchats would come in because it's not relevant to the timeline.
Right.
Like, the knuckles were way after, like a month later. What does he have? Cancer? He's not healing. Like, it doesn't make sense. So it's like, why would that even come in? And it frustrated me, even like before it got into the trial, because I was like, they just showed that to the world now. Now that everyone's watching this trial, they just show that to the world.
And it really has no relevance whatsoever to the case. Even if they were bruised up or whatever at that time, there's no connection. There's nothing putting him in the house at the time when John pulled up. And that's the other thing they're all focusing on. Oh my God. So she's like, yeah, well, Colin wasn't at the house when John was. So I said that in one of my TikTok videos, the same exact line. I was like, well, when Colin pulled up, or when John pulled up, Colin wasn't there, whatever. They're like, oh, so you're saying John was in the house?
Oh my God, I saw something like that. They're so dumb.
You idiot.
I don't even respond to them because I'm just like,
I know.
they're just so stupid.
Yeah, they all pounced on that. Did you hear her say this? Like, she's talking, like, you have to spell it out for them or they don't. And even on X, I'm like, oh, I forgot. I have to spell it out each piece by piece.
Don't even bother.
Yeah, you're good. You're not getting into the X fights. I'm like constantly fighting on X.
Because I just see so much, and it's just like, I'm just like, these people are just too stupid to even be alive.
They are.
It's like Brian Albert said something like he didn't have any injuries at that time, and I was like, they're like, oh, he got caught, and they had it on Twitter, and I was like, I watched it, and I was like, what are they talking about?
Right.
Because he said at that time, meaning
because he said
he saw the body later, and I'm just like,
I know.
Like,
and they all start posting about it. You know what's bad is I'm in the group, the Justice for John O'Keefe, and sometimes I can't stop myself from responding. And then, like, I'll go check Facebook, and I have like 30 notifications. I'm like, oh, here we go. I shouldn't respond at all, but they just say such stupid crap that I can't stop myself sometimes. Anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, they should know better.
And that's the thing too. It's gross because they're adults. I don't even think so. I mean, at least to the benefit of Colin and Allie, at least it's not young kids that are wrapped up in it.
Yeah.
It's like older adults, but at the same time, you're having older adults that are calling these kids these names all over the internet. Like, I'm just like in the law and crime when they're testifying and they're like, look at this. Like,
they make fun of them.
And I'm just like, it just makes me so mad because I can just tell that Allie didn't twist anything. Like, she's not going to go and like make up a screenshot. And like, it was just frustrating. I could see like the frustration in her face because
me too.
It's just like, it's such BS. And like, she thought she was going to get on there and vindicate herself, and then they freaking tripped her up. And then he's like, "Oh, I'm not trying to trick you." And I'm like, "Yes, you are."
No, you are. And then they make fun of her for crying, and then they're like, "Oh, she had no tears, so she wasn't really crying." And I'm like, nobody could win with these people. She sounded so articulate, so honest, and they had to find something. So they're like, "Oh, she wasn't crying real tears." I'm like, okay. I'm not gonna go back and forth with this crap anymore. But how did you feel today went?
So, I mean, I believe Colin. I thought Colin I thought Colin did well. And I mean, I know that they told him, so like I was watching another lawyer that's like, well, I want these witnesses prepped. And like the main thing that she said about the prep was you try to give one word answers in your cross-examination. Yes, no, or I don't know, or I don't remember. Don't give them more because that's how they get you. And so like when he was like answering, I don't recall, I was like, good. At least they like, because they are just going to trip you up and like trip on your words. Because even the stuff that they think they get these people on, it's like semantics. It's like they're saying the same thing in a different way. And they're trying to like, oh, well, why did you say this 2 years ago? And
and they overly like emphasize it like it's this big deal. But the problem is the audience that's buying all of that stupid crap is so perfect for this. They don't understand anything. They don't know anything. And so they're like, oh, he said this, and they just run with it. So it's so hard because they're dealing with this cult of like basically idiots. And then they're dealing with, you know, just life in general. So it's like, I don't understand how they can win in this situation. Like they're telling the truth, they get beat up. You know, if they cry, they get beat up. Then if not, they make fun of their looks. Like Sean on the Gulf was making fun of one of the girls' bodies. Like this is not normal.
He's like a jar of mayonnaise. Like, what is he going to say about somebody?
I mean, really? He has the nerve? He was saying one of them was fat.
Oh, I heard him saying, like, is Colin medicated? Like, that was his tweet yesterday. And
I didn't even see that one. Medicated?
I'm just like, that's so gross. Like,
I know.
I mean, we know he's medicated. Look at him.
Oh, my God. He said, I don't drink. Don't say that I drink. I'm like, I don't know.
Like, I don't even understand. Like, because I know that these people are innocent. Like, maybe these people, like, how can you think that everyone is guilty? Like, you can tell that these are good kids that are like homebodies. They're like very disciplined. They play sports. They're not even like drinkers, really.
When I was 21, do you think, or 23 or 24, I wasn't hanging out with my parents for my birthday with my cousins and my friends.
Oh, I know.
How loving and cute is that? And they're all hanging out together. Like,
yeah, I mean, I think it's like, what a nice life. Like, where you don't have to go out, because, you know, in the world, you get screwed over a lot. But if you're like with family, like, there's less of a chance.
Oh,
like,
always, right. And you just feel safe and you're with your family and you're with your close friends. And they took a night like that and they turned it into such a disgusting thing. It was just like a wholesome night. Everybody's saying we were having fun. Nobody is saying Karen was wasted. If everybody wanted to pin it on Karen, they would say they were fighting all night. Karen was so drunk. All of the things that would pin it on Karen, they would be saying in court, and not one of them has said it. So that's more telling to me than anything else.
Yeah, I mean,
you know, pinning it on her wise.
I mean, to me, it seems like everyone's being honest, and so like a lot of these people have never watched a trial before, probably.
Yeah,
and like that's how you know people are being honest. If eyewitnesses have like a very succinct story, it means that they got their story together and they're telling it together. People see different things, people notice different things, and you have to pick it apart to get to the truth. And so, I mean, so far, I think we've nailed down a lot of things if the jury is playing with a full deck, which who knows?
You don't know. That's the scary part.
But like, I think, you know, the dog is ruled out, and we haven't even talked to the friggin' experts yet, but I think the dog's ruled out. Like, they said no canine DNA. They're trying to say, oh, a pig ear, but I mean, it doesn't make sense because it could be from food, correct?
Yeah.
However, saliva is where the DNA is the most fluid, so it would have to also be in the saliva. So you would have both. You couldn't just have the pig ear.
No.
Well, we just came along and wiped our mouth on his shirt.
Right. Like, which then, then you can't say those are scratches or bites, which they're not anyway. Hold on one sec.
Yeah. So it had to be the saliva. And so since there was no saliva, I mean, there's no dog DNA. I think it probably happened because there was another thing on Dateline a few weeks ago about they only found pig DNA on this girl's scarf that was killed.
Yes.
They think she was cooking, and like, because she was cooking something.
Okay.
So, like, maybe like in their testing that shows up it's like a strong one. So like a lot of testing, it is like that, where like, because it's a different color that shows up for the different species.
Right.
So like, there's always, in testing like that, there's always one that shows up the most easily.
Right. And I did read something about that once, if they did find out that it was dog DNA, they could do like further testing to prove the breed of the dog. But because they didn't find any, they didn't even get to that level, you know?
And the factor is too, is that they, like, a lot of people are like, oh, well, maybe they gave him a bad sample. They did this, they did that. All right. but the defense was able to do their own testing. And they declined. Why? Because they knew they weren't going to find anything, and it probably cost a bunch of money.
I bet it does. Yeah.
And so they declined to do their own testing. So it's not that they took a bad sample. They have.
No. And then another thing that I do want to, oh, sorry, I'm interrupting you. The thing I wanted to point out, everyone, people that aren't familiar with the court case and evidence or whatever, they're like, why didn't they send the whole shirt? Like, why would they take a swab? But that's typically really how it's done is you take a swab. You do not send the actual evidence to the lab. And I'm not making fun of it. Maybe they don't know this, but you can't take evidence that is, ready for the trial or whatever, and then send the entire shirt or a piece of the shirt. Like that's an evidence. And then they have to swab it. And that's what they do with everything. It's not just this case.
I feel like most people should know because I feel like a lot of people have done the DNA, the 23andMe stuff.
Yeah, it's the same thing.
In a tube, you have to seal it. It's the same type of deal.
Exactly.
And you don't send them your fucking underwear.
No.
Like, what do these people think?
And they're like, they should have sent the whole shirt. I'm like, no, that is not how it works. Like, look into something. At least before you comment, maybe Google it, ask Alexa. Like it doesn't have to be this hard. It really doesn't. So, yeah, I think that to me, the dog is out. I mean, if they even attempt to keep bringing the dog in, I think it's going to be strange. I mean,
their expert, I think, said, I don't know. So I think their expert said that they look like dog bites, but I'm just like, how are they even going to say that? I know. They're just going to look so stupid. I just feel like I don't know. I can't wait for their experts. Because
you have a dog, right? Don't you have a dog?
Yeah.
Yeah. So what breed? Is it a mixed breed?
He's a mix.
Yeah. So, my dog, I have this huge dog and then I have another big one. And when we play fight, the big one, when he bites or like even just pretends to bite me, sometimes he punctures, like I have him on my hand where he actually punctures my skin, just play fighting. And there are no punctures in those pictures. And this is play fighting and there's no scratches next to it. It's literally just punctures. So I don't know what are they saying that the dog bit and then I don't remember. Scratch down with its teeth. It just doesn't make sense.
It's not gonna fly.
Yeah, it's not gonna hold up. Anybody that has a dog will know this, and a lot of people do. So I think they're done with the dog thing. And I guess the biggest thing that we're gonna be dealing with next. Oh my gosh, I'm going on a field trip with my son tomorrow, and if Jen McCabe testifies, I'm gonna miss the whole thing. Is Jen in the Google search? That's the big one.
So at this point, I think we know Colin was gone. Maybe there's a little bit of, I don't think there's really doubt though. There's just so many people that all said that he left before the group came back. Nobody said they saw Allie's car there, so she was already gone.
Right.
So it's like, it doesn't make sense. And Karen's was the last car to really arrive. The only one that I'm like a little bit confused about, because I'm always thinking about like the cars piling up in the driveway, right?
Yeah.
These people coming back. It's like the Higgins car,
Me
like
too.
Parked, because I heard so many, like there's, Matt McCabe had conflicting statements about that. He's saying that it was parked out front, I think. Like,
yeah, and somebody might have said that earlier on too. And I remember thinking like, why does this keep coming up?
I think,
and I don't know. Go ahead, what?
I think it was Nicole Albert that said that. So I think it's a timing perspective. And so like, I think it's going to help us, like, I just want to go back and look at it to figure out what the timing was. Because I think he must have came and went real quick, Higgins.
Yeah.
And so like, was he already gone by the time Karen came? And I think that's the question. Or was
he and then maybe he was because of the fact that, and back then we didn't know that those two were like hooking up, so maybe he did leave before she got there, because it could be kind of awkward if they all went in, we didn't know that back then. So
they probably both didn't want to go because the other one was going.
Yeah, she's like, oh, I'll go home. My stomach hurts, whatever it is, but I don't want to be there when you and Brian, a lot of people are not focusing on that. And it's really kind of a really messed up thing that Karen was doing behind John's back. And then all going to the same party. It's so like 8th grade, and it's so just twisted to me, that she's basically like hooking up with his friend behind his back in his house, and then also going, maybe to this after party together. So I don't know. I do want to hear from Higgins. I don't think that Higgins had anything to do with it, but I think what they're doing is because they never really directly said, okay, it's Colin, okay, it's Brian Albert, that they're just trying them all out. And now Higgins is the last option. So they're going to try to make something out of it.
I mean, I just think that nobody was paying that much attention to him. And that's why, because everyone knows that Colin was gone before the rest of the group came back.
Right.
And it was Caitlin, the mother and the father that came back first, I think. And then maybe Higgins. Like, I'm confused about the Higgins.
Me too.
Because it sounded like he shoveled their driveway or something before they got back. Like, I thought I heard something like that. So I'm like,
I know. I have to go back and listen because maybe it was Coco or Nicole that was saying it, but I feel like it kept randomly coming up. So it must.
And he had a plow on the front of his truck.
Yeah.
And that's when I first heard that, I was like, oh, shit.
They're going to say that he hit John with the plow.
I know, but.
I can't. I bet you if they try that, I'm done. I'm going to be like, I can't. I just can't take it anymore. But they might. Let's take a minute and read some of the questions because I feel like last time we didn't get to answer them because we weren't figuring out what was happening here. So do you want to take some of do you have any questions on your side?
Well, John is a jar mail. He was telling Caitlin to go on a diet.
Yeah.
That's sick.
Turtle Boy killed him to get to Karen. Oh, God. I'm just looking at this.
I think like with the Higgins thing, I think the timeline, I mean, I just want to like figure out what that timeline is because we know that he looked at pictures, he was with the father, and then the father pretty much went to bed. So the father didn't stay down with them for that long. Brian Jr. was like, I wasn't sure if he was there or not when they were looking out the window, and that's when Julie Nagle's brother came to pick them up.
Yeah.
And I guess that's the thing too. The three in that car all have different stories, kind of. But it sounds like no matter what, nobody got out of Karen's car.
Right. And let's talk about those three for a minute because the whole I posted something on X. Pat Brown on YouTube is really good. She's been like a criminal profiler for like, I don't know, 30 years or whatever. But she says that at this point, even Caitlin, wait, who are we talking about in the car? Julie, who was in that car?
I don't know. Heather.
Yeah.
And Eddie.
Like she's gonna call her brother mid-murder and be like, hey guys.
And she invited them in.
Yeah, and then invite them in. Okay, so either if she did come get me, that would make sense. Maybe she was scared, whatever. But she comes out, she's like, hey guys, come on in. And they're like, nah, we don't want to. Yeah. So who would invite more people to the scene at that point?
I mean, that's why I think it's just ruled out at that point that anything happened inside the house. I think at this point, something happened where he was found. And now it's just narrowing it down to it had to be Karen, right?
Right.
I mean, at this point, I think he could have, maybe she did drop, maybe he got hit by a different car. Maybe.
Right. Possibly.
I don't know. Like that McCabe's testimony, though, where he saw the car past the house.
Mm-hmm.
And, so it must have been after she hit him or I don't know. Or maybe it was right before she hit him, but he didn't see him standing there.
And I think about it this way, like it was almost 2.5 years ago, right? So what people are remembering, they're probably just still trying to remember from when they had to first remember it. I just feel like it's so hard to know exactly the time, exactly, which location, maybe to a degree, but everybody's probably off a little bit, not by trying to lie or anything, just by human, memory and error.
But it's like that wave of the tire marks that he saw. Like, I don't know. That just like gets me. Like, it's just kind of like, because I don't believe that he's lying at all. Like, I just feel like he's very honest. And like, because he's not really an Albert. Like, he's like.
No. He seems like a really nice guy. Like a really nice
guy. Yeah. 4 daughters. Like, he tells the truth. Trust me.
He does. I mean, he's like, my wife's a homemaker. And, they just like sports parents, all of them. And their kids play 3 sports and they're running around and they're hanging out with their cousins and their friends. It's just like it seems like such an innocent little area. And now it's become, torn apart.
I just don't think an average person is going to believe any of this.
No.
And any of them are involved. Like, I think that's out. I think it's
right.
Well, I mean, I think it's out that he went in the house. I think at this point, and that's the thing, the defense kind of screwed themselves because they're saying it was a cover up and it happened inside. I think, did they say in the opening?
It was framed. I think they basically opened with Karen was framed.
Yeah, so I mean, framed, it doesn't make any sense. No. I mean, something happened to him there. It seems like it was a crime of passion. Something, someone freaked out. And then, I mean, it doesn't seem like Colin had any reason. He was already gone. So, I mean, like, Higgins is the only question mark.
Even the original motive. Okay, so let's pretend Colin ran through his yard, even though he didn't. So all of that is going to cause this rage of all the Alberts to want to bring down John. Like, it just doesn't make, it's not a motive. Like, to want to kill somebody or really beat the crap out of somebody, you have to have like a real hate or a real, anger towards them. And it doesn't seem like any of them had that with John. None of them, even Chris, like it was a joke, everything they were doing was joking around like fun neighbors. And now all of a sudden he wants to kill him for the never cracker defense. No, I don't think so.
Even like Higgins would be the only one with a motive whatsoever.
Yeah, he would be. Yeah.
But even still, like, he wasn't the one that was in the wrong. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, I feel like even that's a stretch because he'd be the one that's kind of squirming away.
Right.
Exactly. We don't really know what the conversations are, but I think we heard that it was mutual and it was 7 or 8 pages of text.
I want to see those. I can't wait to see those.
He's going to be on the stand for a while.
Yeah, I can't wait to see her GPS. I can't wait to see her phone records, the texts. What else do we want to see? The camera footage from her driving around town when she went back, or, earlier than when we thought she was. I really still believe that she went back and found him and then left him there and decided to start the cover up. What do you think about that?
I'm just like trying to like put it all together, like what actually, because I mean, the way that McCabe was talking, like, I'm just like, he saw her pass the house and he couldn't tell if she was moving or not. So she might've been moving slowly. Or I mean, he probably just glanced. That's why.
Yeah.
But I'm just like, so did she, because my initial thought was she hit him and then took off immediately. Didn't stop and look. But if she like was stopped and like looking kind of, like, that makes me even more like,
yeah.
Because then why would you be leaving all those voicemails? Unless she
That's why I don't totally know that she knew,
That was part of the cover up. She was already covering up at that point.
She could have been, or she could have been so drunk that she hit him, left, and was like, why isn't this asshole answering me? And started calling him and this and that. Sobered up a little bit, went back and saw him and was like, oh shit. So it could be one or the other. Like, oh, now what do I do? Like, instead of a normal person would be like, oh my God, I hit him by accident. Let me get, because he would have lived. That's the sad part. If she would have called the first time or the second time she went back or anything like that, or if Julie Nagle knew that it was a body and happened to call. It's just so sad because all of these things could have kept him alive. And I'm not blaming Julie. She thought she saw something. She never thought it was a body. Who would think it was a body? But I bet you that girl, was beating herself up the next day. Like, oh my God, I should have looked to make sure that it wasn't a body, but you would just never think that.
Yeah, right? I know. I mean, I feel like, how would you know? I mean, there's always situations like this where, in the Idaho 4 case, 2 roommates were home when all the 4 were murdered, and like they didn't think anything. It didn't even call the cops till noon the next day. They didn't,
which is insane. I know, and that all of that and all of this is what adds to these big conspiracies because it doesn't make sense. You're like, how could you be in the house? Or even in this case, like, how could everybody in the house not hear him get hit or any kind of screaming in the morning? But these things happen. It's life, it's not normal.
They had music on. They probably did hear something. That's probably why Matt McCabe glanced.
Yep.
Like it was probably like a dump or something. And then,
you don't think it's that. Like, no one thinks worst case, like, oh my God, somebody just hit somebody and I got to run outside. You just don't, your mind doesn't go there.
But also the snow like muffles sounds. So it's kind of like eerily quiet when it's snowing out, and it's kind of like, I don't know. Like,
I feel like maybe we talked about this, but it's almost like you're in like a little kind of like cyclone when it snows. Like, it's quiet, but it's also like, I don't know. It's hard to explain. You know what I mean? It's like, it's like a weird, eerie feeling when it's snowing.
It was windy that night too. So that's
that doesn't help.
Harder to hear things.
Yeah. Wind, forget it. Yeah. And then on, I think it was on Kevin's channel today, he was showing like driving through the snow and what it really is like. Like, when you're driving and the snow is like hitting the windshield really fast and you're just trying to like see, like
you're
that's
probably what your headlights are.
Yeah, even with your headlights, it's like little dots coming at you, so you're just trying to see. You're not looking over here and looking over there and seeing like what's all, you're just like, oh my God, I gotta get home. So I can see that.
And to me, it makes sense that Julie Nagle was the one that saw because they were having a conversation all looking towards each other. So she was the only one facing that way because he was driving, right? It would be the one that was like, what the hell is that over there?
Yeah, and then just like didn't think about it again. So it is strange. I'm just going to run and get a water. I'll be right back. Maybe you want to, we'll come back and answer some questions. I just want to grab my water. I left it upstairs. I'll be right back.
I agree. The pig ears was the biggest stretch. I mean, I was just like, what? Because I mean, to me, yeah, it could be food, but it needs to be, it wouldn't be in the saliva. If it was in the saliva of the dog, then they would have seen the dog DNA as well. Yeah, I'm really wondering if he was on his stomach or not. It sounds like he was. It's just very unclear. Imagine if he was hit twice. I can't even. I mean, that's really sketchy if that's the case. Like, how mad was she? So Colin said he went out the side door, not the front door. I remember that, and I know that Nicole said she walked in the front door because she wanted to take her shoes off, and Colin was passing through. And I think she also said that he went to that area, like where the side door is, the family room. I don't know if that was conflicting or not. But I think he was gone before the rest of them came back, because Allie would have been getting blocked in and stuff, and people would have said her car was in the way. And if her Life 360 shows that she was there, that she was there. Oh my God. It's ridiculous. I mean, I can't. So I had knuckles that were like scraped up like that before, and it was from falling. And I have been in fight. I never was an initiator of fights when I was growing up, but I have been in fights, and like I've never had knuckles bleed like the way that this looks in his picture. It looks more like so if I look at this picture, like to me that does look like a fall, because in a fight I've had like my hands get broken before. Like I've never had knuckles split like that on punching someone in the head, or I don't know. I just that does look like a fall, and we don't know what the injuries looked like when he was testifying in June or whatever. But I mean, they both could be from punching the bag. So I just don't think that looks like a fight. Yeah, I just don't think it looks like a fight anyway. It does look like a fall. So what happened, I had knuckles like that. I was on my phone and walking, and I tripped over a curb, and I had my phone in my hand, and I didn't want to like drop it, and I landed.
Yeah, you were protecting the phone. Smart.
Yeah, not smart. I hit my face on the ground too.
I wanted to say something about this. So the story that he told was that he fell, right? And everyone's immediately, he's lying. Nobody could fall and land on their knuckles. So you tell me you have 2 years to lie and come up with a story. Are you going to tell the story that most people will be like, oh, that never happened? Like he could have said anything, but he told the truth. That's how he landed, and that's what happened. So why wouldn't he say something else, right? If he knew people were going to question that, and that's where his mind was, then he would have come up with something more common. Like, I don't know what, but you could have said the same thing that he said about the other time that he was using the punching bag.
Right. And I feel like it's irrelevant anyway, because
it was like years ago. Right. Oh no, this was later, right?
Yeah, it was like, I think the end of February. So, and it was after those pictures that we saw yesterday of him with no injuries.
Right.
So,
yeah, it was between those two things. Yeah. Yeah. So that's another fail. I mean, they're trying to make things. The problem is, the biggest problem in this case is social media. And it's like, if you don't look at the stuff that you and I look at, I think most normal people can see what's going on, but we're just in the mix of it. So
there's a lot of not normal people though.
Yeah, it's not good. I mean, it's scary to think that people, a lot of people have different reasons for believing in it and joining the cult and everything that they're doing, but it just shows you that, I don't know, I guess there's a lot missing in people's lives, and they need something like this to attached to and maybe feel like a part of something, or like, you know, they kept calling it a movement. And what movement, you know?
A movement of hate and evil and idiocy.
Right.
I mean,
because no matter what in the world would make all of these people want to pin it on Karen and risk their own future? Nothing could make somebody do that unless, I don't know, you know, and they're like, well, they don't want to go to jail. Even if they beat the living crap out of him, they could have called the cops and been like, you know what, we were all drunk. Could you do me a favor? You know, that's when maybe they could use their cop favor and just be like, listen, let's just let it, no charges, but let's get him some help. Nobody even disliked him, let alone hated him.
Yeah, so Higgins would not frame Karen for murder, but if he wanted to be with her.
No, that would be stupid.
Yeah, maybe he didn't. Maybe. So what could have, I don't believe this theory, but like what could have happened is that whatever, he saw John hit him with his cut car, right? So someone else hit him with the car. But the problem is like the defense is going to refute all the car evidence. So they're not even going to be able to say someone else could have hit him with the car.
Yeah, that'll kind of screw them.
So they're already screwed themselves over.
Right, because all of the car evidence they're claiming was planted by cops.
No, because her taillight was gone at 8 a.m.
Well, they don't want to accept that one yet, because unfortunately the picture that they had the snow on it. So unless you're giving them exactly what happened, they won't see that. But we can see it, you know. So maybe there is another image. But then if it's before that time frame where Proctor got a hold of that car, that's what it was, you know. I mean, you can't deny it.
Yeah, for sure.
I just want to see if I feel like last time we didn't answer any questions, so I'm trying to look through.
Queen B. So Queen B, I would love to be on your show sometime. Let me know. If someone reached out to me, one of her mods.
Aw.
Because I think there's other people that are telling the truth on YouTube.
Are there? No. I don't know that many. I love them.
I know.
We should talk about that a little bit, because that's a whole other, well, I guess we kind of did, but.
I really do want to start collecting screenshots of people lying, because I just think the problem is in the YouTube world or in the social media world, there's no accountability for that kind of thing. Whereas if you are with a news station, you can't just go out and accuse people of murder.
Right.
And so, and I think a lot of people are putting, like Melanie Little, for instance, has 28,000 people watching her, and she is completely saying nonsense.
Yeah, she is.
And so, like, in order for people to know, though, because if that's the only one that you're watching, and then there's another one, and like, I will probably get hate for saying it, but Emily D. Baker, she's one of the biggest law channels.
Yes, I haven't watched her, but people have told me to watch her, which makes me think I shouldn't watch her.
I just think she's so obnoxious. It's like, because she's just calling out like everything. I'm like, these are witnesses. Like, I'm like, I just want to watch. Like, I couldn't stand it for more than a minute.
Oh, you mean as the trial's going, she's saying?
She's like, this girl, like about,
right.
I think I saw the part where it's like Julie Nagle. She's like, this girl couldn't put 2 and 2 together and call 911 the next day.
God. I know, because you're supposed to know. Right. Okay.
People, I mean, would you want to involve yourself in this case? Like Sarah Levinson was like, I had no legal obligation to say anything, and I was not going to. Yeah, because why do you want to get harassed? Do you want the turtle rider showing up at your house?
That's the other thing that people aren't realizing outside of this is these people know what he and the mob are capable of doing to them, and they don't want it. Nobody wants it, right? Like, who wants it? So they're trying to like balance it. Like, I want to say enough to keep myself safe, but I also don't want them coming after me. So it's very hard for the witnesses. It's going to be hard for the jurors, because now he's in there and he is taking note of what they look like, note of who they are. Jess Machado was writing down exactly what the jurors looked like and who they looked like. And that is not cool.
I hope they all go to jail.
Me too.
And it's like, all right, so yes, the rager, how they keep saying like, oh, what 50-year-olds have a rager? I'm like, it's aunts and uncles sitting in the kitchen with their freaking niece and nephews. And like,
yeah, I don't know if it's a rager. Okay.
It's like they all left by like what 1:45, so they were there for like an hour looking at stupid videos and like just hanging out. Like it's
hanging out with their family. So it's like, I understand at that age it's weird that kids should be drinking or not drinking or whatever. at least they're in their house with their family and they're in safe environment where, nothing crazy is going to happen. Well, until this, until they get accused of murder.
A lot of people would be like, oh, after parties, I don't do that. But like, I grew up in this area too, like the South Shore, and everything closes at midnight. Unless you go to Boston. It's only an hour later. So it's like,
oh, wow.
Yeah, everything closes super early. So it's very common to go back to houses.
That makes sense.
And so it's just
right in New York, it's like till 2 a.m. sometimes, some of the bars. Well, back, I wouldn't do that now, but back when I was like in college and stuff. So yeah, I could see why they would have an after party then if everything's closing.
I wouldn't even call it after party. It's like come back to my house. You always go back somewhere though, usually.
Like hang out.
Like it's like an hour.
Yeah.
You're still drinking, but most of the time you're like everyone's teetering out. But it's a good way to like sober up and like just chill out and like
and then just go home. Right.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, there's so much. So let's talk about some of these. All right. So I mean, I don't know that there will be any accountability for the people that have lied throughout this entire thing. I don't think there will, but it's just like kind of eye-opening to see that so many people do this.
I mean, I think that I don't know. I was thinking of there's got to be something like social media is getting out of control. So I was thinking that there needs to be some kind of modulation or rating system or like something that goes on everybody's channel, because basically saying like, did you lie, like an integrity scale or something?
Yeah.
And, like everyone just has to like get it and it's being like verified, and like then when people watch your channel they know, oh, this person tells stories. Oh, this person tries to always tell the truth, and if they do say something wrong they go back and correct it, because I believed some of this shit from like Truth and Transparency for a while, and like it's like you really don't know at first, and like I got sucked into it, but as soon as I could like get the documents myself and like go over it myself, and that's why I don't really like Emily D. Baker's opinion. Like I watch it like Law and Crime. I'm not even like watching anybody's commentary because like I just want to like absorb it, because I have a different take than what I see on the news after. Anyway,
me too.
I'm looking for different things. Like I'm looking for like different conspiracy things to be debunked, and the poor TV people have not been paying attention the whole time like that.
Well, and not only they're not paying attention, they don't want to notice all of it. For their ratings, they need that level of conspiracy on one side and then the rational people on the other side, which is why they have Nick and then Kevin. It's like up and down, and then they have the lawyer. Which have you been watching them like each night? I guess they're on around 8. I didn't watch today or yesterday, but they want to keep a level of like excitement and conspiracy going because that gets them viewers. So even Court TV is doing it for, not the best reasons, right? Like if what did Vinny did the pink tank? Like, come on. Do you remember that? Instead of the think tank, he did the pink tank. Like, come on. That's embarrassing.
Trying to get those, because this is like a very watched program for TV right now, and he's trying to get those viewers, like they're competing for viewers.
Right. So he's not being totally honest either.
But that's what's messed up about our society right now is like everything is just so driven by money. It's like everyone's morals are like gone. I was like watching something with like Madonna. She's like, in New York, I like just went to thrift stores and I didn't really like when and I was like, oh my God, imagine if you could just do that in New York now, that would be awesome.
Right.
Like, quit my job and like go to New York if I could live real cheap and just like try to do something different, But like nowadays it's like you have to have like a secure job, like, and if you
you can't,
everything's gonna collapse. Like there's like no freedom now.
Not at all.
And
not at all. But it's sad that people will give up their integrity for that. If anything, if I got to the point where I felt like I had to lie, I mean, I don't have a huge following or anything like that. I don't make, this isn't my job. But if I felt like I had to lie in order to be successful, I would just stop the whole thing and do something else because it's just not in me, like I just can't do it.
I mean, that's the thing though, because I think about like, I like doing this kind of stuff and looking at it. But like, if I was relying on an income, that's where it gets tricky.
Yeah.
And like, there's so many things like that. Like when I originally went to school, I was going to be a teacher, and it's like, could I afford any? Like, I'm glad I didn't do it now just because of the way the economy changed. Back then, no jobs made money. So like, it didn't matter. So I was like, oh, at least the summer's off and I'll be like helping kids. But like the economy has changed so much that now I'd be in such a screwed position.
Mhm.
Because I mean, I don't even know how they afford things anywhere.
Well, teachers in New York, I left teaching, believe it or not. So I was a
really?
teacher. Teachers in New York make a lot more. And then I felt like I wanted to like own my own business and be more flexible. So I left that. And then I started the boutique. But anyway, the point is, it's like, if this were the way that I made money, I still don't think that I would lie to people and try to trick people. It's not in my personality. And I don't think it's in yours either. That's why, to truth be told, both of us could have just kept going with it and been like, yeah, we could have just stopped talking about the case when we realized that we were wrong. But instead of doing that, we told the truth, and then you get shit for that too. So you can't win. But we could have just stopped talking about the case, right? And just been like, all right, we're on to the next case. And instead, I've been stuck on this case for like a year.
I mean, I just think I think it's the harassment that's driving my attention to it, because I just don't like that kind of bullying BS. Like, even when it's like, I don't know, I just don't like the whole implicating of innocent people and just the harassment. And I didn't know that Jen McCabe had MS until today.
Jen McCabe does?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't hear that. Oh,
so
God.
Matt McCabe was like, John really wanted Jen and Karen to meet because they had
I heard that. Okay.
MS, and I was like, holy shit, like all these people are harassing this woman like this.
Oh my God, how sick and twisted. I just can't.
I know. I mean, I say things about Karen, but I'm not chasing her around.
No.
Like,
You're accusing Karen and she's not proven guilty yet. I'm like, first of all, she's on trial for it. Nobody else is. And second of all, I'm not picketing outside of her house and like screaming on a bullhorn that she's guilty. Nobody's bothering her. Why are they bothering everybody else who aren't accused? Nobody's at her door. Nobody's going to, her dad's house or whatever. Come on. It just shows you the type of people. Yeah.
I was like so shocked by that though. I was just like,
I didn't realize. I heard him say that he tried to match them up for a reason, but I didn't hear the second part because I was like doing multiple things. Okay. That sucks. I don't trust it. Netflix. Oh, Netflix. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I know. Netflix. I mean, yeah, so Tiger King or whatever the hell that was.
Yeah.
That was near me in Tampa when I lived in Tampa, and like the hate, because they didn't know. And like, I have no idea. I really stopped watching it because I thought it was like kind of sick. Like how much I don't know if she was crazy. I don't know. And I know people like have very strong opinions about it. But like Carol Baskins was like the tiger trainer that lived in Tampa. They have a big cat rescue or whatever there.
Yep.
And like, so the documentary basically said that she fed her husband to the tigers.
Right.
And like that.
Do you think she did?
I didn't watch the whole thing. I just didn't like it because I saw the hate. And like they were on saying like, we never did any. I don't know. I just thought it was like, I just don't know. The whole thing.
Well, yeah, it was a crazy. I mean, but that's only one of Netflix's. Netflix has the potential to do a good job, but I almost feel like it's better that show that you were on. Cyrus?
Paramount Plus.
Paramount Plus, yeah.
I know.
We need to hashtag them.
Paramount Plus. I mean, I feel like they did. I don't know. I feel like they did a decent job. Like they made it like kind of entertaining, told the story, but then they did kind of go after the cyber sleuths at the end.
Yeah. They always right.
That was honest, like, because I mean, I think they just used me for filler. Like I was not one of the ones that they were like saying is pushing these conspiracies, and that's why I got involved with that in the beginning, because I really was like, what happened? There's 4 people killed in the house, and 2 of them are alive, and didn't call the cops till the next day, and so. I was very interested, but I was like falling into all these like traps with people. And then I was like, all right, I am just going to like figure it out myself. And like, I was spending a lot of time reading it. So I was like, I'm just gonna start talking about it. And that's how that happened. And like a few times I did go down the conspiracy rabbit hole, but it would be for like a day until I'd be like, okay, well, that wasn't true. Or this didn't.
But that's normal. I mean, it's always interesting to go down those little like rabbit holes or the path of it. And then when you get to the point where you're like, it's like, then you smarten up. You don't keep going.
But those are my best videos that got millions of views.
Yeah, you have a lot of views.
Like, whose white car is that? And it's like, but then when you go to like, say the next step, like, oh, we figured out that it wasn't that car, and like it wasn't, that gets like no views. So it's like,
I'm done now.
The conspiracy. You know what I mean? Like, even though I have no control of it. if I like
it's the same thing as this. It's the same thing as this. I mean, I know, and you know, our videos on this do not get, especially on TikTok, you know, it's like not even close to the amount of views you would get on any other topic. So it's interesting, but I just wanted to, you know, I can't wait till it's all said and done. And I really hope she goes to jail, because if she doesn't, it's never going to end. You know, it's going to be like the never ending. But it just isn't right if she doesn't have some kind of punishment. That's all I know.
I know. I can't believe like his family has been going through this for so long, and just all the witnesses. It's just such BS. Like they have nothing to do with it. She dragged everyone into it and then dragged them through the mud for speaking the truth. And like, it's the clearest case of witness intimidation I've ever seen
in my life.
Absolutely. We're trying to get people to change their story. And I think that they were successful a little bit. Like some of the stories that seem like they don't really add up, like the 3 people in the car outside, they seemed very not forthcoming.
Right. But they're scared. That's the other part. That's what I mean. They're like afraid. It's like so many levels of, I don't know.
Or they just don't remember. Like, I mean, I think that people do. I don't know. Eddie's story, though, is just so different than the rest of them. Because, like, he was the one that was driving, right?
Yeah.
The girl and Ryan and Heather were in the passenger seats. They both said that they, you know, came face to face with Karen's car. She took a right. They took a left. They went first, whatever. And then they pulled behind her. Eddie says that didn't even happen. Like, she was already parked in front of the house. And I'm like,
but wasn't that supposed to be like, wasn't that what was Turtle Boy was like holding on to Ryan Nagle being the savior? Like he said,
he's the only one that said he didn't see her in the car. But like, that doesn't mean that she wasn't there. And they like clarified that today.
Yeah.
Because it's like, he was just telling the truth, right? Like he drove by, he wasn't really looking. He was making sure his sister got in the house. He glanced at her. He didn't look in the passenger seat. And like when girls, like if you're a girl and a guy in a car, the girl's always like close to the steering, and the guy's seat's usually back. So you really, they're shady.
No, right. And you're not paying attention to that. You're not looking to take note.
Move her head around. But like they clarified, like if a 6'2" guy got out of the car, would you have seen him? And the girl was like, yes.
Yeah, I mean, come on.
She did not. So I mean, I thought she was good. I feel like they're kind of terrified.
Yeah.
Like they don't want to be involved. They're just telling the truth. And I mean, that's the problem. Is like these turtle riders don't want people to tell the truth.
No, they want them to say what they want them to say. Yeah, they want to hear what he's been spouting out for so long, and if they don't, then these people are public enemy. I mean, he did like a poll yesterday, like something so childish and stupid, like who do we hate more, Julie Nagle or Caitlin Albert? Was it Caitlin Albert? I always mess up their names, but 2 of the girls. It's just so stupid. Who's the worst? Like, and they're all like so excited to comment and to vote. Like it's so immature. Is it legal for the defense to lie? Colin?
I mean, I felt like he talked Colin into admitting that.
Yeah.
He was like he's like, yeah, I guess that's practice boxing. But like, I don't think it's the same thing. Because it's like, I mean, I guess you would call it boxing. Like if you do cardio boxing, it's still.
I do cardio boxing, but I wouldn't say I'm a boxer.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I do that once every couple weeks.
Words or twist the words to make it sound different than what it is. Like it's.
And yeah, boxing. He's right. Boxing is 2 people in a ring. Maybe you could practice for boxing by using the bag, right, or by taking a cardio class with kickboxing.
I mean, cardio kickboxing is like dancing almost. It is totally different than boxing, fighting in a ring.
You're not like you're not getting bloody.
Right.
You're not fighting another person.
Yeah.
With no gloves or with gloves, you know, so it's just so stupid. But
I just hate how he tries to like
twist everything. He twists everything. And he's so slimy about it. And he's so loud and annoying. And his tone is so condescending and so rude the whole time, Alan Jackson. And it's like Yannetti's like whiny and Jackson's like super aggressively annoying.
I just thought, I don't know. If Jen McCabe testifies. So did Matt McCabe get cross-examined? Or no, that's going to be the first thing tomorrow?
No, I think that's probably the first thing tomorrow.
And then maybe Jen McCabe.
And then probably Jen. And then who's after Jen?
Who knows? I don't think we have a real order, do we?
No, because we ended up having to switch things because the DNA, the animal DNA lady had to switch because she had like a schedule change. But yeah, I don't know that they have to go in a particular order.
I mean, I think Carrie's going to be the icing on the cake because she's not related to any of these people. Didn't even know most of these people before that morning.
She probably wishes she never picked up the phone that day. And McCabe, Jen. She's probably like, why did I answer the phone?
If Carrie didn't pick up the phone, then Jen McCabe would be like so screwed.
Oh my God. Seriously, they'd be staking at our house every day.
But even Turtle Boy and a lot of them are trying to pretend like Jen was the only one there. Like in all their articles, that's always like Jen McCabe did this. Like,
right, Jen's the
Carrie was
mastermind.
there too. You know,
Carrie was there for the whole thing. So
but they try not to involve her because she's not a McCabe. Like she's
right.
not
They can't make her a McAlbert. They can't totally make her a McAlbert. So they're kind of like letting her be on the outside. But once she testifies, watch, then she's going to be hated just as much as the rest of them, or tortured or harassed or whatever, as much as the rest.
I was seeing like an attorney was commenting on like the kids that were giving attitude. I like when they give attitude.
Me too.
Like I'm like, is that wrong?
I'm proud of them.
He doesn't like that. Like I'm just like, I mean, I don't know. Like I don't know.
Well,
I feel like,
go ahead.
Like Jackson and Yannetti. Like Yannetti was really yelling at what's her face?
What's her name? The firefighter.
Caitlin
I mean,
Hart.
Yeah.
But
No.
really like, oh, he was bad with her too.
Yeah.
But like he was like really like, nobody asked you that.
Yeah. Did somebody ask you if you looked up the window or something nasty? Yeah.
And I'm just like, and she's just like calm, like looking, seeing if there's gonna be an objection.
I like that. I like that so much.
Coach, I think that's what you're supposed to do.
Right.
But, like, a lot of people were like commenting on Julie Nagle and Tristan, like just being like, I don't know, could have been 5 a.m. How the hell do I know?
Yeah, and you know, Tristan, they're all giving like, oh, he's such a punk. I would be like, you know what? He's got nothing. He's not on trial for murder. He's not. You people have been messing with them for 2 years. They're not going to like you. They're not going to respect you. That's for sure. And they don't have to show you respect at this point.
I think that's the thing that these attorneys that comment on this are missing is that, like, yes, in a professional, normal environment, the attorneys, you know, you have respect. You know, if they get loud, whatever, they're trying to get a reaction out of you. But like in a case like this, like especially with like Colin Albert, certain people, it's like they're the ones that planted their names in the public.
Yes,
it turns the public on them. And you're supposed to just be like, oh, like they're a nice, normal guy.
Like, oh, thank you, sir. No, sir. No, thank you. They were the originators of that theory that was given to Turtle Boy to put out.
And then like validating it again and again and again and again. And it's like, you are the reason.
Right. That I'm sitting here.
Right.
That my family's been through hell. You know, all these people in the family have been through hell because of you two and this crazy idea to come up with that basically takes a bunch of innocent people and blames them and takes the takes the onus off of Karen, who's the killer.
Yeah, I would just be so, I mean, I feel like Yannetti absolutely should be disciplined.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
But Yannetti for like putting Colin's name out there repeatedly.
Yep.
When he had the audience clap, like that's just was disgusting to me.
Oh my God. I know.
Especially because they know the Ford Edge wasn't even black.
Right.
It was white or gray or something. So it's like they're saying that. Scanlon didn't say his name. Scanlon didn't even know who he was.
And you heard the call.
And
he didn't even know that Colin existed, let alone that Colin was at the house. He's like, who? Who's that? You know? So
it's so gross. Because they're professionals and like they
know.
talk to Turtle Boy too. Like the big thing with them, which they probably are in trouble behind the scenes.
Yeah.
When the whole Fed thing, because they said, oh, it was reported in the media. That's when we brought it up in the motions hearings. But the media, being Turtle Boy, which they went to lunch with, gave him the information to post. So it's like they have violated so many rules in this.
They absolutely have, yeah.
It's like to victimize witnesses in a murder trial. I mean, they should be charged with intimidation of witnesses too.
They should. And, you know, I'm shocked that Bev lets a lot of this through because she knows exactly what they're doing. So you could see every time she sustains, because she knows the direction that they're heading towards, you know. But that was why I was so surprised that she let in those 2 videos because they really are not relevant at all to this.
I know, but it sounded like they were at the federal grand jury too, like the way that they were talking.
Okay, yeah, that's
So the
true.
feds got into it. And maybe the feds are the ones that found it. But like, how did the Turtle Boy get it? Or did the turtle, like, you know what I mean? Like, it's like, where did this originate? Because this is bullshit. And if the feds did look at it and they already decided, like, oh, it's not related, why the fuck are they putting it in the public like this?
Right. Well, I think at this point, they're so desperate that they just want that to stay in maybe one juror's head, so that juror is like, well, maybe he is a punk, maybe that's all they need. And they're hoping, like, throw this out, that at least one or two of them will start fighting, the rest of the jurors. Like, well, maybe it was, I don't know how they would think that. If these are rational, normal humans who didn't know about any of this going into it, or even just didn't know about Turtle Boy, they would not ever think that, that he was killed in that house. But if you have a random turtle rider in there, you don't know. Because
it was, so Turtle Boy was like the main one, but at that same time, Alan Jackson went to many creators. And so because I remember it was like right after I think I talked about it, but I had already figured it out. But then I saw it like on Truth and Transparency, and they were like saying that Alan Jackson reached directly out to them and gave them documents. And so like that is, you're gonna try to like, oh, a big time lawyer. I want to try to like do what
impress them,
and it's like, it doesn't have to necessarily be paid. I think some of them probably are.
Right.
It probably doesn't take much if you're living off YouTube. So like, it's just like, these people just have no integrity.
Yeah.
Like,
that's it. There's no other way. I mean, I can't figure it out at this point. Like, maybe, you feel like, okay, Alan Jackson emailed me. I know of a few that he did reach out to. Luckily, he didn't reach out to me, because even if he did, I cannot lie and not make it. I look like I'm lying when I lie. Like, it's just like, everybody knows when I'm lying. So to me, to make a video and like keep lying, I don't know how people do it. I really don't.
I couldn't even do one. Like, as soon as they figured it out, I already had a video kind of put together.
I'm having concerns. I'm worried. I don't think I had it right.
And I was like,
I know. What happened?
Because sometimes you just don't realize, you like get wrapped up in like,
yeah.
But then it's like, once I realized, I don't know who it was or which. I think I started worrying about Colin and Jen McCabe, probably both at the same time.
Yeah.
I started reading it and I was like, wait a minute. There was another woman there, Carrie Roberts, that said all that. The niece heard her say all this stuff. I'm like, hold on a minute. And that's when I was like, oh shit.
That's what I wanted to say to you. And then I have to run. But when the niece gets on the stand, and now the niece and Jen both heard what Karen was saying that morning at the same time, that is going to be pretty explosive to me, because what's the excuse,
And I think the niece called Jen McCabe on her own. Like, I always thought that Jen had her call Karen, but like from one of the latest ones that I read, it sounded like the niece just called Jen on her own, because Jen was like her mother figure. She was helping John with the kids. She was like her best friend's mother, and she called Jen.
And I think they could both hear Karen screaming in the background, right? Yeah. Wasn't that the latest one?
She could hear Jen. I mean, she could hear Karen yelling in the background.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, what's going on? And I think she was hearing in the background. I don't even know if she was directly talking to Karen. Like, it's very curious. Like, I'm just like, so she went home, or she just woke up the niece in a tizzy, screaming John's dead.
Yeah,
like, it was when they found his body, before his body was found. And
like, that alone, why would you think they're dead? Why would you think they're hit by a plow if you don't know that they were on the side of the road somewhere? You don't say that. You're not like, oh, they got hit by a plow. They came home late. They didn't come home. They were hit by a plow. Like, that would never, ever cross my mind. Why would he be walking in the street that he would get hit by a plow? He was at a party. He's not going to just go for a walk and then her wake up. Oh, he must have got hit by a plow. It's crazy.
Yeah, I do remember that now. That's when it stopped. It was like, they asked about, he's like, I woke up to screaming in my bedroom that morning. And then they were like, okay, let's go. We're done.
See you tomorrow. See you at 9 a.m. That'll be a good start to the day.
So he's still on direct examination then.
Well, because I also found out recently that Karen never said to Jen, I'm coming to your house. Jen and her husband were like starting to get ready, because she had called and said, I couldn't find him, and she's freaking out. And they were going to leave on their own. And Karen pulled up, and then Kerry pulled up. So they didn't specify that they were going to meet up, but Karen showed up at her house.
But why did Karen go there?
Karen called Kerry and was like, meet me at Jen's house, according to the McCabes. Yeah. So they weren't planning on going on this thing. And then she's like, came out and Karen was already there. And they're like, all right, let's go look together. But I don't know why Matt wasn't with them. So we'll see what he says tomorrow.
Yeah, it's really interesting. Because, I mean, for Karen, though, she had to leave to have some other place to smash her taillight, right? I mean...
Well, in the morning, yeah. So, right, she did. She had to leave.
If she didn't leave, then, you know, there's no doubt.
Right. And that taillight smash, all the FKR people are like, well, the taillight crashes inward. And the light... I'm like, oh, stop. Like, that the pieces of the taillight fell into her taillight area instead of out. And that's why they're not on the driveway.
They could, but I mean...
They could, but every one of them?
Right.
Yeah, I don't know. Especially from that little tiny bump.
Right. No, I mean, it definitely didn't break there.
Yeah,
like,
that's
absolutely impossible.
No.
Because even it would have just cracked. The lights were out. You could see the lights out when she drove away. She had to have hit something good. And hitting a flat surface like a car with a bumper, it's not going to hit the taillight. It's either a tree branch or an arm. Like those are the only two things where that directly is going to hit. It's something like hanging over because the rest of the car would have hit it first.
Exactly. Right. And I'm really, really feeling like she hit, like, say this was his cocktail glass, that she somehow hit the glass.
I think so too. I think his arm is out or he was turning around.
Yeah.
He heard the car coming towards him.
Yeah. And he's like, and then, you know, whatever way we're going here, but that's what probably hit. And then maybe even did the scratches on his arm. I mean, I'm interested to see the recreation of the reconstruction that they're going to have to do at some point.
Yeah, so Tristan didn't say that he had a Ford Edge. They did ask him about his car, and I think he said he had a little Ford.
Everybody has a Ford in this case. It's so funny.
A 2012 Ford Taurus, and his girlfriend had a... Yeah, so what is the deal? Was that just something Turtle Boy made up, that Tristan had a Ford Edge? Probably.
I think so, because I think he even got the car wrong in that, because I don't know that it was... Not that it was a Taurus, but in that article, if I'm thinking of the right one, he was saying that he had a Ford Edge, but it was really a Ford, not Taurus. What's the other one? I can't think of it.
Fusion?
Fusion, maybe, yeah. The SUV.
Oh, I don't know what that one is. The Fusion. Yeah. Who had the Fusion? Allie had the Ford Fusion. They all
so many Fords.
I know.
It's a lot. My mom has one too.
This should be the new Ford commercial.
I know.
Like,
Albert's
and Carrie had a Ford Explorer. See, she's trying to be a McAlbert.
Anybody with a Ford is trying to be a McAlbert. I mean,
I need to get one. I need to get one now because they think I'm one.
Yeah, we're McAlberts. I mean, I've been every McAlbert under the sun. They're like, "What's your relationship? Why are you doing this?" I'm like, "You're a lunatic." But yeah, let's do this again. I can't wait for tomorrow. I'm looking forward. I mean, I'm going to be on that trip, but text me any major updates. I should put my AirPods in while I'm on the trip and ignore all the kids because I have to hear the trial.
I mean, is tomorrow half day?
I hope not, because today was. I don't know.
Oh, yeah, a full day.
That would be good. Yeah, Benjo.
So if it is Jen McCabe, she's going to be on there all day.
Oh, JCB, you could go back. I think it replays when we're done. They could still watch it, right?
Yeah. I guess, like, in the comments, who do you guys think is next on the witness stand? So we know Matt McCabe. I guess logically it would be Jen McCabe.
Yeah, I hope it's Jen.
Is there anybody, and then it would be Carrie, right? Because, like, is there anybody else, like, from civilian witness?
Higgins is probably coming soon.
Oh, right? I don't know if he's really a civilian, though.
Oh, right. That's true. I guess technically.
I guess, yeah, he probably... Wait, is there anyone else, though? The three people in the truck, everybody that was at the party has been done, right? Everyone at the bar.
Yeah, I'm really hoping. I wish that Lally, this is the last thing I'm going to say, when he started the case, because we have to go through so many of the people at the house and it kind of gets boring, that at some point he brought in like some of the
people.
Bring in her phone, something just to let these people know she's guilty. And now we're going to go through all the people in the house instead of going through all the people in the house and then showing that she's guilty.
So I think the kids will be last because the kids are going to have to talk about the Aruba trip too.
Yes.
And that's not discussed yet.
Right.
So who else would be on? And there's other people from the Aruba trip too. And Higgins probably is in that group too, because he was talking to her after that. So he's going to be the, and so like, I think Jen and Carrie are the last ones that have to do
Jen
it.
and Carrie, and then I think it's two sisters from the Aruba trip, which they must have a lot to say because, I mean, we've all kind of heard what the story was, that they were just, she was screaming at them for what? Saying hi to John.
I think it's going to be quick, but I think it's just going to paint the picture that their relationship was on the rocks. The kids are going to say it, and then Higgins is going to be like, she was trying to F me, and like, and like his is going to be a lot of testimony. Like his, I don't even know where it's going to go.
I know. I mean, that whole thing really adds such a layer of like, you're such a psycho, Karen. Just, you know, hooking up with his friend and having him in the house at the same time. It's just not, you know, I don't know. It's crazy town.
It's, who knows what she's going to do.
Psycho. It's literally being a psycho and acting like you're in 8th grade. But all right, let's see.
All right, let's wrap this up.
Yes.
And thanks everyone for the comments. And
yes. Oh, guys, can you join my YouTube? I just signed up. I mean, I'll post the link in the comments later. I'm mostly on TikTok, but I'm trying to get tomorrow. I think I can go live.
So that's the other one that we have. So there's a group, the Aruba trip. The kids are tied to that. I think Higgins is tied to that, and those two girls. Then there's all of our interviews. That's a whole segment.
Oh yes,
which is gonna that's
not good.
And then we have Good Samaritan Hospital where she admitted to it.
Yes,
there's 4 people for that, and her blood alcohol and all that.
Oh, so, this is gonna get even better.
Yeah, I mean, I just don't even know. I don't even know what the defense had. Like, I know the defense has someone at the crime lab, so they're gonna say she didn't package something properly or whatever.
Yeah, that's what they're gonna have to go with. Is just, you know, not testing, not packaging things correctly. The cops didn't do enough. But like, I don't even know if I said it on this show. I said it earlier today. They're asking these kids about stuff, you know, like 2 years later. Why didn't you hand your phone in? Why didn't you tell them that Allie picked you up? And they're like, we didn't know we were in, you know, we weren't involved in this until you guys said we were, you know? So why would they go and run to the police for any of that?
Right.
So
and
silly.
Then they're like asking them, like, who bought your beers that night? Did you bring them? Did you buy them? Did someone else buy them? I'm like, you know, this was 2 years ago.
Right. It's so crazy.
I don't know. I can't wait.
I can't either.
I can't wait for
another week, right? Is that it for the Commonwealth?
I feel like they're behind. I feel like
it's
going to be 2 more weeks.
Yeah. Okay, so 2 more weeks.
I think it's my estimate.
Yeah. Unless he starts cutting people out. Like maybe instead of the 2 sisters from Aruba, or if that's even the case, he just does 1. Like, I don't know.
The judge doesn't want repetitive testimony, but I guess there's different perspectives and different, because one sister has known him forever. He's the godfather of her son.
Oh, yeah.
So like, and it's her sister. So it's the sister that she attacked. And then it's her sister that kind of knows that Karen's crazy. And then the kids are going to be like,
yeah, she's really crazy. We lived with her. We know.
I just don't know what the kids are going to say.
It's going to be interesting.
She spoiled us, so we don't like her. Like, I don't know. That's what they're trying to make it out to be.
So yeah, she was so good to them that John didn't want her to spoil them. Like, I'm sure it was more than that.
I think she probably bought them things after verbally assaulting them.
It's pretty telling that day at the scene, she's like, I can't raise these kids, like yelling it to the first responders, like, oh, he has kids, who's going to take care of them? Like, that's what you're worried about right now?
I know, and she doesn't even have custody of them anyway. So it's like, why is she even saying that?
Not your problem, Karen. They have people that love them that will raise them. So that's a weird thought.
It is. It's very strange.
Know? And the weird thing to say about Kerry, like, oh, you must not know Kerry, when I guess it was either the cop or the EMT's like, well, you have a big support system. And she's like, Kerry, you must not know what she's really like at the scene of this. That she called Kerry too. Think about that, right? Ugh. Yeah.
Well, hopefully karma gets her.
Yes. We'll do this again soon. Let's see what happens tomorrow. And thanks for watching, guys. Thanks for stopping by.
All right.
Have a good night, guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.